It was a particularly dreary evening when Sarah found herself at the train station, the kind of night where the sky hung low and heavy, pregnant with rain. The fluorescent lights flickered intermittently, casting erratic shadows that danced along the cracked tiles of the platform. She was waiting for the last train home, the one that would take her back to her quiet suburb after a long day at work. As the minutes dragged on, the station grew eerily silent, save for the occasional distant rumble of thunder. Her phone buzzed with a message from her friend reminding her to be careful. The hairs on the back of her neck prickled. It wasn't the first time she'd felt uneasy in that station. There was something about it that always seemed off, as if the walls themselves were whispering secrets she wasn't meant to hear. The digital clock above the platform ticked down to the hour, and Sarah felt a shiver run down her spine. The train was late. She glanced around, half expecting someone to emerge from the shadows, but the station remained empty. She could almost hear her heart thumping in her chest, a steady drumbeat that echoed in the stillness. Just then, she heard it. A faint sound, like the distant chugging of a train approaching. Her pulse quickened, and she stepped closer to the edge of the platform. The lights flickered again, and for a moment she thought she saw a figure at the far end, cloaked in darkness. But when she squinted, it was gone, vanished like a dream upon waking. The train finally arrived, screeching to a halt with an unsettling hiss of brakes. The doors slid open, revealing a dimly lit interior. Sarah hesitated. The train felt wrong, as if it were a relic from another time, its seats worn and stained, the air thick with an unidentifiable odor. But the thought of waiting alone in the station was even more daunting, so she stepped inside. The doors closed behind her with a clank, and the train lurched forward. Sarah took a seat near the window, glancing around at the empty carriage. The lights flickered again, and she felt a chill creep up her spine. She was alone, but for some reason she felt watched. As the train rumbled through the darkness, she noticed the scenery outside was odd. The familiar suburban landscape was replaced by dense woods, shadows creeping along the edges like fingers reaching for her. The trees loomed tall and twisted, their branches clawing at the sky. She turned to the window, pressing her forehead against the cool glass, trying to make sense of it all. Suddenly, the lights went out entirely, plunging the carriage into darkness. Panic surged within her, and she fumbled for her phone, the screen illuminating her face with a ghostly glow. She could hear her breath quickening, could feel the weight of the silence pressing down on her. Then she heard it, a soft whisper, barely audible over the sound of the train. Sarah, it was her name, spoken with a voice that felt both familiar and foreign. She froze, heart racing, scanning the empty seats around her. "Sarah, who's there?" she called out, her voice trembling. No response, just the relentless clatter of the train on the tracks. She felt a cold sweat break out across her forehead, her mind racing with thoughts of escape. But where would she go? The train was hurtling forward into the unknown. The lights flickered back on, and she caught a glimpse of something in the reflection of the window, a shadowy figure sitting directly across from her. Her heart dropped as she turned, but the seat was empty. Just her imagination, she told herself, but the feeling of dread lingered. The train continued its relentless journey, and the whispers grew louder, more insistent. "Sarah, stay with us." The voice echoed in her mind, wrapping around her like a suffocating shroud. She pressed her hands to her ears, trying to block it out, but it only intensified. Suddenly, the train lurched violently, throwing her against the window. The lights flickered again, and when they returned, the figure was there, clearer now. A gaunt face with hollow eyes, mouth twisted into a grotesque smile. It reached out a skeletal hand, beckoning her closer. "Join us, Sarah," it rasped, and she felt an overwhelming pull, as if the very air around her was charged with its dark energy. With a surge of adrenaline, she bolted to the doors, frantically pounding on the glass. She could hear the laughter now, a chorus of voices joining in, calling her name, urging her to stay. But she refused to be ensnared by their grasp. As the train slowed, she threw herself against the doors, and they opened with a hiss. She tumbled out onto the platform, gasping for breath, the train disappearing into the darkness behind her. She looked around, disoriented but alive, the station eerily quiet once more. The clock still ticked ominously, but she didn't care. She was free. But as she turned to leave, she caught a glimpse of the figure standing just beyond the edge of the platform, its eyes glowing with a hunger that sent a fresh wave of terror coursing through her veins. "Sarah," it called softly, the voice echoing in her mind, and she knew, deep down, that the last train home was never meant for her.